The war ended not with a final battle, but with a silence. One by one, dragon worlds surrendered. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia lowered their weapons and asked for peace. An empire that had stood for 10,000 years collapsed in less than 2. Earth's celebrations were quiet. People gathered in streets, holding candles, remembering the soldiers who had died far from home. There was no cheering, no parades. Just relief and sadness mixed together like rain and tears. Admiral Hyan, now old and tired, stood at the great memorial they built in Seoul. Thousands of names were carved into black stone. Each name was a son or daughter, a mother or father, a friend who would never return. Was it worth it? Someone asked him. He thought about the question for a long time. Ask the Valari children, he finally said. Ask the slaves we freed. Ask the worlds that can now live without fear. They will tell you if it was worth it. Commander Nari became an ambassador. She traveled to liberated worlds, helping them rebuild. Everywhere she went, she saw the same thing. People learning to live without fear. Children playing in streets that had once been filled with dragon soldiers. Families reuniting after decades of separation. On one world, she met a young Valari girl who had been born in a slave camp. The girl had never known freedom until the humans came. What is Earth like? The girl asked. Nari smiled. It is beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, cities full of people. But the best part is not how it looks. The best part is that everyone is free there. The girl's eyes went wide. Everyone? Everyone. Can I visit someday? Nari knelt down and took the girl's hands. You can do more than visit, she said. You can live there if you want. Earth welcomes everyone now, especially those who need a home. The girl hugged her, crying tears of joy. General Wu retired to a small farm on a quiet continent. He grew vegetables and raised animals and tried to forget the things he had done. Sometimes he succeeded. Mostly he did not. One day, a transport ship landed in his field. Lieutenant Hana stepped out, older now, her face marked by the years of war. General, she said, saluting. I'm not a general anymore, he replied. Just a farmer. Once a general, always a general, she said. I came to tell you something. The Galactic Council has voted. They want to thank humanity for what we did. They're calling us the Protectors. Wu laughed quietly. Protectors. That's a heavy word. It's the right word, Hana said. Do you know what they're saying about us? Out there in the galaxy? They're saying that humanity is crazy. That we attacked an empire 1,000 times our size because someone asked for help. That we cannot be conquered because we do not know how to surrender. That the safest place in the universe is behind a human soldier. Wu was quiet for a moment. Are those good things or bad things? I think they're true things, Hana said. And I think that's what matters. She handed him a box. Inside was a metal, gold and silver, shaped like a shield. The Galactic Council made this for you, she said. For all of us. The shield of Earth. They say it represents what we are now, the protectors of those who cannot protect themselves. Wu held the medal in his weathered hands. I don't need medals, he said. I did what needed to be done. Anyone would have done the same. No, Hana said gently. They wouldn't have. That's the point. Thousands of species saw the draken conquering and killing. None of them did anything. They were too afraid. Too practical. Too logical. Only humans decided that fear was not good enough. Reason to do nothing. She paused. Only humans decided that. Strangers were worth dying for. The Valari built their new homeworld in a quiet corner of the galaxy. On a planet they named New Velara. It was smaller than their old world, but it was theirs. No one would ever take it from them again. At the center of their capital, they built a statue. It showed a human soldier standing with a Valari child behind him. The soldier's face was determined, protecting, ready to fight. The child's face was peaceful, trusting, safe. On the base of the statue, they carved words in both Valari and human languages. They asked for protection. The response was total. Lyra, now very old, visited the statue every day until she could no longer walk. She would sit in front of it and remember the day she had landed on Earth, terrified and hopeless, begging for just a place to hide. She remembered the human admiral who had lifted her to her feet and told her not to kneel. She remembered the human commander who had promised that everything would be okay. She remembered the human soldiers who had crossed the stars to destroy an empire, not for glory or power, but because someone had asked for help. Thank you, she would whisper to the statue every day. Thank you for being what the story said you were. Thank you for being human. Commander Nari gave the final speech at the first anniversary of the war's end. She stood in the Great Hall of the United Earth Council, facing representatives from 100 worlds, humans and Valari and dozens of species that had been freed from Draken rule. 1 year ago, she began, strangers came to our world. They were broken and afraid. They asked for protection. Just a small thing, a place to hide from those who wanted to harm them. She looked around the room. We could have said no. We could have hidden ourselves, hoping the darkness would pass us by. That would have been the safe choice. The logical choice. The choice that every other species in the galaxy had made. Her voice grew stronger. But we are not every other species. We are humans. And when someone asks us for protection, we do not hide. We do not calculate the odds. We do not ask if it is worth the risk. We simply answer, yes. She paused, letting the word hang in the air. The Draken thought they were invincible. They thought no one would ever challenge them. They were wrong. They were wrong because they did not understand what we are. They saw our small world, our short history, our limited technology, and they dismissed us. They did not see our anger at injustice. They did not see our love for strangers. They did not see our willingness to die for those who need us. She smiled. Now they see. Now the whole galaxy sees. And they know that if anyone at all asks humanity for help, the response will be total. The room erupted in applause. Humans and aliens together, celebrating not victory, but hope. Hope for a galaxy where the strong protect the weak. Hope for a future where no child has to grow up in a slave camp. Hope for a universe where someone will always answer when help is needed. Outside the hall, the sun set over Earth. Ships from 100 worlds filled the sky, carrying visitors who had come to see the planet that had changed everything. And somewhere in the stars, on 1,000 freed worlds, children slept peacefully. Because humanity had answered, because humanity had protected, because humanity had destroyed all who stood against the innocent, and the galaxy would never forget. 10 years passed like a storm. Every factory on Earth roared with production. Shipyards rose from oceans and deserts, building vessels that would carry humanity's fury to the stars. Scientists worked day and night, turning the Valari's knowledge into weapons beyond imagination. When the fleet launched, it was the largest thing humanity had ever created. 5,000 warships. Each one carried weapons that could crack planets. Each one was crewed by soldiers who knew exactly why they fought. General Wu stood on the bridge of the flagship, the sword of humanity's anger. He was a tall man, scarred from old wars, his face like carved stone. Behind him, the lights of Earth grew smaller in the darkness. All ships report ready. His second-in-command announced. Wu nodded. Then let us begin. The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. The stars blurred into streaks of light. And humanity went to war. The first battle happened at a Draken outpost called Station 9. It was a supply depot, guarded by 50 warships. The Draken commander saw the human fleet arrive and laughed. He had heard rumors of a new species challenging the Empire. He did not believe them. He stopped laughing when the first missiles hit. Human weapons were different. The Valari had given humanity the basics of space warfare, but humans had improved everything. Missiles that were faster and smarter. Shields that were stronger. Guns that fired beams of pure destruction. The 50 Draken ships became clouds of burning metal in 3 minutes. General Wu watched the destruction without pleasure. This was not about glory. This was about sending a message. "Leave the station intact," he ordered. "Let them send word home. Let them know we are coming." They left survivors. They always left survivors. Men and women who ran to their communication devices and screamed warnings to the Empire. A new enemy had appeared. A terrible enemy. An enemy that fought like nothing they had seen before. The Draken High Command received the reports and dismissed them. A small rebellion, nothing more. They sent a fleet of 500 ships to crush the problem. That fleet met the human armada at the edge of a dead star. Lieutenant Hana commanded the left wing. She was young, with sharp eyes and quick hands. She had joined the military because of the Valari children she had seen in the refugee camps. Their scared faces haunted her dreams. Enemy fleet approaching, her scanner officer reported. 500 ships. They're forming attack patterns. Hannah smiled coldly. They think they're attacking. They're wrong. The human fleet split into 3 groups, moving with coordination that the Draken had never seen. Each group struck from a different angle, hitting the enemy where their shields were weakest. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end, 412 Draken ships were destroyed. The rest fled, screaming warnings to anyone who would listen. Humanity had lost only 18 ships. The news spread across the Empire like wildfire. A new species. A species that fought without fear. A species that did not negotiate, did not retreat, did not stop. The Draken Emperor himself took notice. He was an ancient creature, wrapped in golden armor, sitting on a throne of alien bones. He had ruled for 2,000 years, crushing every rebellion, silencing every voice of opposition. No one had ever threatened his power. Until now. "Destroy them," he commanded. "Send the entire fleet. Burn their world. Kill every last one of them." 2,000 warships assembled. The largest Draken force ever gathered in one place. They jumped toward Earth, hungry for blood, but the humans were not waiting at Earth. General Wu had studied history. He knew that defense was death. The only way to survive was to attack. So while the Draken raced toward an empty Earth, its population, hidden in deep underground shelters, the human fleet raced toward the Draken homeworld. The 2 fleets passed each other in the darkness of space. Neither knowing where the other was. The Draken arrived at Earth and found it abandoned. Empty cities. Silent factories. No one to kill. No one to enslave. And then they received the message. "This is General Wu of the human fleet. You came to destroy our home. We came to destroy yours. Look at your screens. See what we have done." The Draken commander looked at his screens and felt something he had never felt before. Fear. The human fleet had reached the Draken homeworld. Lieutenant Hana led the assault on the planetary defenses. Orbital platforms fell like rain. Defense satellites exploded in chains of fire. The sky above the Draken capital filled with human ships, blocking out the stars. But the humans did not bomb the cities. They destroyed every military base, every weapons factory, every shipyard and training center and research facility. They struck with surgical precision, leaving the civilian areas untouched. The Draken military tried to fight back. Soldiers took positions in the streets. Ships launched from hidden bunkers. But it was not enough. The human weapons were too strong, the human soldiers too determined. By the third day, the Draken homeworld had no military left. General Wu landed in the capital. He walked through streets filled with terrified Draken civilians. They expected him to kill them. They expected him to enslave them. That was what they would have done. He didn't either. "We are not like you," he announced through speakers that carried his voice across the planet. "We do not kill the innocent. We do not enslave the weak. Your soldiers are defeated. Your weapons are destroyed. Your empire is finished. But you will live. You will rebuild. And you will remember." The emperor was dragged from his throne. His golden armor was stripped away, revealing an old creature, thin and weak without his weapons and guards. Wu stood before him. "You killed billions," Wu said. "You enslaved millions more. You thought no one could stop you." The emperor spat at him. "You are savages. You know nothing of power. When my allies come, they are not coming," Wu interrupted. "While you were running toward Earth, we sent messages to every species you have conquered. We told them the truth. Your empire is broken. Your fleet is scattered. Your homeworld is captured." He showed the emperor a screen. Across the galaxy, rebellions were erupting. Slave populations rising against their masters. Conquered worlds demanding freedom. "Your empire is not falling because of us," Wu said. "It is falling because of you. Because of what you did. We just gave everyone the courage to fight back." The emperor's face twisted with rage and fear. "What will you do with me?" he demanded. Wu considered the question. "We could kill you," he said. "That would be justice. But we are not executioners. We are protectors. So we will do something worse. We will let you live. You will watch your empire crumble. You will see your slaves become free people. You will witness everything you built turn to dust. And you will die knowing that a species you had never heard of destroyed everything you cared about." The emperor was taken away, screaming curses that no one listened to. General Wu looked up at the alien sky. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them the mission is complete. Tell them to come home." Across the galaxy, the news spread. The Draken were defeated, not by a great empire, not by an ancient power, by humans. A small species from a tiny planet who had decided that protecting the innocent was worth any price. Lieutenant Hannah stood beside her commander, watching the Draken civilians stare at them in confusion and fear. "They don't understand," she said. "They don't understand why we didn't kill them." "They will learn," Wu replied. "We will teach them." The reckoning was complete. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity had shown the galaxy what protection truly meant. The meeting room was underground, deep beneath the mountains of Switzerland. It was built to survive nuclear war. Now it held the most powerful people on Earth, gathered to learn about a threat far worse than any bomb. Intelligence Officer Tay stood at the front of the room. He was a young man, quiet and careful, known for finding the truth in places where others saw only shadows. He had spent 3 weeks studying the Valari and their data. What he found made him sick. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "what I am about to show you is difficult. But you must see it. You must understand." The screens behind him came alive. The first image was a planet. It was beautiful, covered in blue oceans and green forests. Cities sparkled on its surface like jewels. "This is Valara," Tay said, "the homeworld of our guests. Population, 4 billion. This image was taken 12 years ago. The image changed, the same planet. But now the oceans were brown. The forests were black. The cities were ruins. Smoke covered everything like a funeral cloth. This is Valara today," Tay said. Population, 0. Every city destroyed. Every person killed or taken as a slave. The entire planet was harvested for resources. When the Draken finished, they left nothing but ash. The room was silent. President Kim, an old woman with white hair and sharp eyes, leaned forward. "How?" she asked. "How did they do this?" Tay pressed another button. New images appeared. Ships. Massive ships. Each one was the size of a mountain, bristling with weapons covered in dark metal that seemed to swallow light. "The Draken fleet," Tay explained. "They have over 10,000 warships. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a continent. When they attack, they do not negotiate. They do not ask for surrender. They simply kill until no one is left to fight." Captain Sue stepped forward. She was a naval officer, respected for her sharp mind and cold logic. She had helped Tay analyze the data. "But it gets worse," she said. "The Draken don't just kill. They enjoy it." She took control of the screens. Video began to play. It showed a city. Alien people ran through the streets, screaming, trying to escape. Draken soldiers marched after them. The soldiers were tall, covered in black armor, their faces hidden behind metal masks. They carried weapons that fired beams of red light. The beams cut through people like they were paper. Families running together. Cut down. Children hiding behind their parents. Cut down. Old people too slow to run. Cut down. And the soldiers walked calmly, like they were doing ordinary work. Like they were bored. The video changed. Now it showed prisoners. Thousands of them, packed into camps. The Draken guards beat them for entertainment. They starved them for days, and then laughed as they fought over scraps of food. "Slaves," Sue said. "The Draken take prisoners from every world they conquer. They work them to death in mines and factories. When a slave becomes too weak to work, they are killed and replaced." Another video. This one showed children. Alien children, taken from their parents, placed in rows like products in a store. Draken buyers walked past them, selecting the ones they wanted, leaving the others behind. "They sell children," Sue said. Her voice was shaking now. "They break apart families and sell the pieces." President Kim closed her eyes. Other leaders in the room looked away. Some had tears on their faces. Some looked like they wanted to be sick. "How many worlds?" asked General Park, the head of Earth's military forces. "How many have they done this to?" "We have confirmed data on 732 conquered planets," Tay said. "But the Valari believe the real number is over 2,000. The Draken Empire has existed for 10,000 years. They have never stopped expanding. They have never stopped killing." "Billions," someone whispered. "They've killed billions." "Tens of billions," Tay corrected. "Perhaps hundreds of billions." The Valari tried to keep records, but there are too many dead to count. The room fell into silence again. It was the silence of shock. The silence of horror. The silence of people trying to understand something too evil to believe. Admiral Hyan stood up. He had been quiet throughout the presentation, but now his face was hard as stone. "There's one more thing," he said. "The Valari tell us that the Draken are expanding toward our sector of the galaxy. At their current rate of expansion, they will find Earth within 50 years. Maybe sooner. And when they find us?" President Kim asked. "The same thing that happened to Valara," Hyan said. "The same thing that happened to all the others. Our cities will burn. Our people will die or become slaves. Our children will be sold like cattle." General Park slammed his fist on the table. "Then we prepare," he shouted. "We build weapons. We build defenses. We make them pay for every inch of our world." "With respect, General," Captain Sue said, "our current technology cannot match theirs. We would fight bravely, but we would lose. The Valari fought bravely too. Look what happened to them. So what do you suggest? Park demanded. We surrender? We wait for them to come and take us. No, Admiral Hyan said. His voice was quiet but powerful. We do not wait. We do not defend. He looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. The Valari asked us for protection, he said. Just a place to hide. They did not ask us to fight. They did not expect us to fight. They expected us to be like everyone else, afraid, hiding, hoping the monster would not find us. He paused. But we are not like everyone else. President Kim leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I am suggesting that we give the Valari what they asked for, Hyan said. Protection. Real protection. Not hiding. Not hoping. Real, permanent protection. How? Kim asked. Hyan's eyes were cold now. Cold and hard. By removing the threat, he said. Completely, forever. The room erupted in noise. People shouted questions. People demanded explanations. Some said it was impossible. Some said it was madness. But President Kim raised her hand, and slowly, the room fell quiet. You are suggesting, she said carefully, that we attack the Draken. Yes, Hyan said. You are suggesting that we, a species that has never left our own star system, should attack an empire that has conquered thousands of worlds. Yes, Admiral, that is insane. Hyan nodded. Yes, he said. It probably is. But the Draken have never faced a species like us. They have conquered races that were peaceful, that tried to negotiate, that hoped for mercy. They have never faced a species that does what we do. And what do we do? Kim asked. Admiral Hyan smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. When someone threatens our children, he said, we do not hide. We do not negotiate. We do not hope for mercy. We destroy the threat so completely that nothing remains. We have done it throughout our history. We will do it again. The room was silent for a long moment. Then General Park stood up. I vote yes, he said. One by one, others stood. Military leaders, scientists, politicians. They stood and spoke the same word. Yes, yes, yes. President Kim was the last. She stood slowly, looking at the screens still showing images of Draken atrocities. Then God help us all, she said. Because I vote yes too. The decision was made. Humanity was going to war. The United Earth Council met in the Great Hall in Geneva. Every nation was represented. Every leader was present. The room was full of tension, thick enough to taste. Admiral Hyan stood before them. He wore his full dress uniform, metal shining on his chest. But his face was not proud. It was serious. It was determined. You have all seen the reports, he began. You know what the Draken have done. You know what they will do to us if we wait. I am not here to scare you. I am here to tell you the truth. He pressed a button, and the screens around the hall showed maps of the galaxy. The Draken Empire controls this region, he said, highlighting a vast area of space. They have 10,000 warships, millions of soldiers, thousands of conquered worlds providing them with resources and slaves. He let that sink in. And we have nothing. No fleet, no experience in space warfare, no allies. Just our world, our people, and our will to survive. A delegate from America stood up. Then how can we possibly win? He demanded. You're asking us to attack the most powerful empire in the galaxy with nothing. Not nothing, Hyan said. Something the Draken have never faced before. Us. He changed the display. Now it showed human history, wars, inventions, discoveries. Humans are not the strongest species, he said. We are not the fastest. We are not the most intelligent, but we have something that makes us dangerous. We adapt, we learn, we improve. And when we are pushed, we push back harder than anyone expects. He showed images of human achievements. The first airplanes, the first rockets, nuclear technology, computers that could think, weapons that could destroy cities. In just 200 years, we went from riding horses to splitting atoms, he said. In another 100, we reached our moon. The Draken have existed for 10,000 years and have barely changed. They conquer, they take, they repeat. They have never needed to innovate because they have never faced a real challenge. We will be their challenge. The room stirred. Some looked skeptical. Others looked hopeful. Commander Nari stepped forward. She had been working with the Valari for weeks, learning everything they knew about the Draken. The Draken have weaknesses, she said. They are arrogant. They believe no one can challenge them because no one ever has. Their fleet is spread across thousands of worlds. Their supply lines are long and vulnerable. And most importantly, they do not expect anyone to attack them, ever. She showed tactical maps. If we build a real fleet, and strike fast and hard, we can hurt them. We can make them bleed. And once they bleed, once they see that they are not invincible, everything changes. A delegate from China stood. How long would it take to build such a fleet? 10 years, Nari said. If every nation works together. If we share all technology, all resources, all knowledge. 10 years to build something the galaxy has never seen. 10 years is a long time, someone said. It is also a short time, Admiral Hyan replied. The Draken are 50 years away. We will be ready in 10. That leaves us 40 years to do what needs to be done. The room fell silent. President Kim stood. She was old, but her voice was strong. I have led our world through many crises, she said. Economic collapse, pandemics, wars that threaten to destroy us all. But this is different. This is not about politics or money or borders. This is about survival. This is about what kind of species we want to be. She looked around the room. The Valari came to us asking for protection. Just a place to hide. They expected us to be afraid, like everyone else. They expected us to hope that the monster would not notice us. Her eyes hardened. But that is not who we are. We do not hide from monsters. We do not hope they will go away. We face them. We fight them. We destroy them. She turned to Admiral Hyan. Admiral, if we vote yes today, what exactly are we agreeing to? Hyan took a deep breath. We are agreeing to build the largest military force in human history, he said. Every factory will produce warships. Every scientist will develop weapons. Every soldier will train for space combat. We will unite as one species, with one purpose, to protect the Valari who came to us for help, and to ensure that the Draken never threaten anyone again. Not just defend, Kim said. You said remove the threat. What does that mean? Hyan met her eyes. It means total war, he said. Not battles. Not campaigns. Total war. We will destroy their fleet. We will destroy their armies. We will destroy their ability to hurt anyone ever again. When we are finished, the Draken will exist only in history books. The room exploded in whispers and murmurs. A delegate from Brazil stood. This sounds like genocide, she said. Are we really prepared to destroy an entire species? No, Hyan said firmly. We are not going to kill civilians. We are not going to harm the innocent. We are going to destroy their military, their weapons, their ability to make war. The Draken people will survive, but the Draken Empire will not. Can you promise that? The delegate pressed. Can you promise no innocent Draken will die? Hyan was quiet for a moment. No, he admitted. I cannot promise that. War is chaos. People die who should not die. But I can promise that we will try. I can promise that we will be better than them. We will fight to protect, not to destroy. We will kill only those who stand in our way. And when the war is over, we will help rebuild what we can. The delegates sat down slowly, thinking. Hours passed. Leaders spoke for and against the plan. Some called it brave. Some called it foolish. Some called it necessary. Some called it impossible. But slowly, something changed in the room. People stopped arguing about whether to fight. They started arguing about how to fight. Nations that had been enemies for centuries agreed to share technology. Countries that had never trusted each other agreed to combine their militaries. Old hatreds were pushed aside, replaced by a single burning purpose. Finally, as the sun began to set outside, President Kim called for the vote. All those in favor of Operation Shield, the complete defense of the Valari, and the destruction of the Draken war machine, please stand. One by one, they stood. America, China, Russia, Korea, Japan, India, Brazil, every nation, every leader, every single person in the room. The vote was unanimous. President Kim looked around at the standing crowd, tears in her eyes. Then it is decided, she said. From this moment forward, humanity is at war. May history remember that we fought not for conquest, not for revenge, but for protection. We fight so that children we have never met can sleep without fear. We fight so that the weak can live without terror. We fight because it is right. She raised her hand. Begin Operation Shield. Let the galaxy know that humanity has awakened. And let the Draken know that their time of cruelty is ending. The hall erupted in applause. Not cheering. This was too serious for cheering. But applause, respect, agreement. Admiral Hyan watched the celebration with quiet satisfaction. This was just the beginning. Years of hard work lay ahead. Blood would be spilled. Lives would be lost. But they had taken the first step. Outside the hall, the Valari refugees watched on screens. Not understanding the human language, but understanding the raised hands, the standing bodies, the determined faces. Lyra, the Valari leader, began to cry. What does this mean? She asked the translator. Commander Nari put a gentle hand on her shoulder. It means you are protected, she said. It means we are coming for your enemies. It means the Draken will learn what happens when they harm the innocent. Lyra shook her head in disbelief. You would do this for us? She whispered. For strangers? Nari smiled. That's what humans do. The ship fell from the sky like a dying bird. It was not a war vessel. It was not a scout. It was something broken, something that had traveled too far and suffered too much. The metal was black and burned. Smoke poured from its engines as it crashed into the empty fields of northern Korea. Admiral Hyan received a call within minutes. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. Those eyes became sharp when he heard the news. An alien ship. The first contact in human history. He put on his uniform and flew to the crash site before the sun could rise. Commander Nari met him there. She was younger, with short black hair and a face that never showed fear. She had served under Hyan for 10 years. She trusted him completely, and he trusted her the same way. The military had already surrounded the crash site. Soldiers stood with weapons ready. Scientists set up equipment. Everyone was nervous. Everyone was excited. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. The ship's door opened slowly. The metal screamed as it moved. Then they came out. They were thin, too thin. Their skin was pale blue, almost white. Their eyes were large and dark, like the eyes of frightened animals. They wore torn clothing that might have once been beautiful. Now it was just rags. There were 12 of them. Men, women, and children. They walked out slowly, holding each other, shaking with fear. One of them stepped forward. It was a female, older than the others. She raised her hands to show she had no weapons. Her mouth moved and strange sounds came out. But then something happened. A small device on her neck glowed, and her words became clear. "Please," she said. Her voice was soft and broken. "Please, help us." Admiral Hyan stepped forward. The soldiers around him tensed, but he raised his hand to calm them. "Who are you?" he asked. "We are Valari," the female said. "My name is Lyra. We have come very far. We have nowhere else to go." "What happened to you?" Commander Nari asked. She looked at the children. They were so small, so scared. One of them was crying without making any sound. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. For a long moment, she could not speak. Then she found her voice again. "The Draken," she whispered. "They came to our world. They took everything. Our homes, our families, our freedom. They kill without mercy. They enslave without pity. They have destroyed hundreds of worlds. Thousands. We are all that remains of our people." The words hung in the air like smoke. Admiral Hyan felt something cold settle in his chest. He had fought in wars. He had seen terrible things. But this was different. This was something beyond human understanding. "How many?" he asked. "How many have they killed?" Lyra closed her eyes. "Billions," she said. "Tens of billions. Maybe more. No one knows. They do not count. They do not care." Commander Nari felt her hands become fists. She looked at the children again. They were just kids. They should be playing, laughing, living without fear. Instead, they stood in the dirt of a foreign world, hoping strangers would save them. "Why did you come here?" Hyan asked. "Why Earth?" "Because you are unknown," Lyra said. "The Draken have not found your world yet. You are hidden in a quiet part of the galaxy. And because we heard stories, old stories. Stories about a species that protects the weak. A species that fights for those who cannot fight for themselves." "Stories?" Nari said. "What stories?" "Your signals," Lyra explained. "We have been listening to your communications for many years. Your music, your broadcasts, your history. You have made terrible mistakes. You have hurt each other. But you have also done something rare. You have learned. You have grown. You protect your weak. You fight against those who harm the innocent. This is not common in the galaxy. This is almost unknown." Admiral Hyan was silent for a long time. He thought about human history, the wars, the suffering, the endless mistakes, but also the progress, the laws that protected children, the organizations that fed the hungry, the soldiers who died to stop evil men. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Lyra fell to her knees. The other Valari did the same. Even the children knelt in the dirt. "Protection," Lyra said. "We ask for nothing more. Let us live here. Let us hide. The Draken are powerful. We do not ask you to fight them. We only ask for a place to exist, a place to survive." Commander Nari felt tears in her eyes. She had never cried in front of soldiers before. But this was different. Admiral Hyan looked at the kneeling aliens. These people had crossed the stars, running from monsters, hoping to find safety with strangers. They expected nothing. They asked for so little. He reached down and gently lifted Lyra to her feet. "Stand up," he said softly. "You do not kneel to us." Lyra looked confused. "Then you will help us?" "I need to speak with my leaders," Hyan said. "But I can promise you this. You will be safe tonight. You will have food. You will have shelter. And tomorrow, we will talk more." Lyra began to cry. Not sad tears. Happy tears. Tears of relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." The Valari were taken to a military facility. They were given clean clothes, warm food, and soft beds. Doctors examined them and found they were sick and weak from their long journey. But they would recover. That night, Admiral Hyan sat alone in his office. He read the preliminary reports. He looked at the photos of the Valari children sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. And he thought about the Drakh an empire that had destroyed thousands of worlds, an empire that had killed billions, an empire that was still out there, still hungry, still looking for more victims. He picked up his phone and called the president of the United Earth Council. "Sir," he said, "we need to meet. Something has happened, something that will change everything." The president listened. And by morning, the leaders of humanity knew the truth. The galaxy was not empty. It was not peaceful. It was a place of monsters and victims. And humanity had just learned it existed.